right, so change of gear here to something a little more fun and a little more random. But I saw a Reddit post this week talking about The Miz after he lit up Monday Night Raw with that promo, asking where The Miz fits on the all-time greatest heels list. And so there's no time like the present to let's work through the list. Let's see, where does Miz fall on this list? Here's the problem, though. There's a problem. When you make these lists, there's a bullshit that comes with having to add names to a list that you know existed. Guys like Ric Flair, Macho Man. And you recognize them as great, but I never saw them with my own two eyes. So instead of me doing the thing that I normally do where I just start, I rattle off a list of 15 names. I put guys on there because I know I'm supposed to. We're going to work this a little differently. We're going to use a method that I'm going to coin. We're going to build upon a shit list. So I'm going to go to Ranker, which is kind of the most obvious place where people go to rank things. And I'm going to find a list of the greatest heels. They're voted on by real life people. So I feel like they at least have a tiny bit of merit, even though it's obvious that I am smarter than 90% of these IWC fucks on the internet who vote on things like this and think they know wrestling. That's obvious. We can get that out of the way. You guys all know it. But I'm going to pull the top 15. If The Miz is on the list, cool. We'll adjust where he is. If he's not, we'll find out where we're fitting him in, because I'm confident that The Miz is at least a top 15 heel in the business. So here we go. We're going to take the shit list from Ranker.com, ranking the greatest heels of all time in pro wrestling, and we'll build upon it. So Ranker.com has number 1, Vince McMahon. All right. Number 2, Triple H. Number 3, Randy Orton. Number 4, Ric Flair. Number 5, Roddy Piper. Number 6, Chris Jericho. Number 7, Edge. Number 8, Ted DiBiase. Number 9, Paul Heyman. Number 10, Bobby Heenan. Number 11, Shawn Michaels. Number 12, Rick Rude. Number 13, The Miz. Interesting. Number 14, The Iron Sheik. And number 15, Randy Savage. So that's the shit list. That was done by Ranker.com. Don't blame me for what the fuck you see there. But this list has The Miz at number 13 all time. Honestly, that's higher than I expected to find him on a list that was made by the IWC. So this adds a little bit of difficulty for me, because I thought that I was going to get to just look at a list of 15 people and add him in where I saw fit. But the Miz is a difficult guy to rank for me, because he's literally the definition of like a pro wrestling gamer and not a video gamer. I mean, in sports, that's a term that means like a guy who shows up for the big moments. The Miz kind of rides the wave, right? When there's nothing going on, he's just a guy on the roster. But when you give him these personal feuds like LA Knight, he shows up and he shows out. Now, I can make an argument based on what I've seen just with my own two eyes and my personal experiences with pro wrestling. I can look at that list and make an argument that The Miz is top 5. Now, that's never going to fly. You guys are going to come for me. The IWC is going to come for me. But I never watched Roddy Piper. I never watched Ric Flair. So I don't have the same kind of allegiance to those names that most people do. So what I did is I jumped on to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, tell me the top 10 heels of all time. And ChatGPT dropped me number 1, Ric Flair. Number 2, Roddy Piper. Number 3, Vince McMahon. Number 4, Triple H. Number 5, Iron Sheik. Number 6, Randy Orton. Number 7, The Miz. Number 8, JBL. Number 9, Brock Lesnar. Number 10, Edge. Interesting. That list would align way more with what I know about pro wrestling than the shit list that I got off of Ranker. But when we started this segment, we agreed we're going off of that list. So the original list is Vince, Triple H, Randy, Ric Flair, Roddy, Jericho, Edge, DiBiase, Heyman, Heenan, Michaels, Rude, Miz, Sheik, Savage. Not being able to move other people around, that makes this tough, because the only thing I can do is move The Miz. And I'm tempted just to say, fuck you guys, put Miz at 4, turn the stream off, and let the internet come from ahead. I'm not going to do it. I understand you got to be a little smarter than that. I think the safe bet, if I was a safe man, is just moving The Miz up a couple spots, slide him in front of Bobby Heenan at number 10, call The Miz a top 10 heel of all time. That seems like a logical things to do. But I'm not a safe man. I hold The Miz in very high regards. And I suffer from this disease. I don't know if I've told you guys about it, but I did get a diagnosis. And the disease is called recency bias. I suffer horribly from recency bias. And The Miz's promo this past week on Monday Night Raw was fire. So I'm going to take The Miz. I'm going to drop him number 7 on the shit list. Just one ahead of Edge. That's where I'm putting The Miz. I know that's going to piss people off. I really don't care. Miz is a top 10 heel of all time. That goes without saying. Vince McMahon, Triple H, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Chris Jericho. Number 7, The Miz. Works for me. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Tell me where you would have put The Miz.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Hey, casual wrestling community show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit him with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like the show, but you should already know.